Okay, so the next transformation is sequence. Okay. So this sequence transformation will be used to generate the sequence numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So in real time, when we are loading the data from source to target, sometimes we will be having dimension key values. Okay. So or we'll be having some ID fields. So those ID fields that we will have to generate. So if at all we wanted to generate any sequence numbers, then we should use the sequence transformation. This sequence transformation will be having
incoming call from new house owner identified by Truecaller.
okay, this sequence transformation is going to be used to generate the sequence number. Okay, so that sequence will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. Okay, but the sequence transformation is having certain properties. Okay, so first is increment bar. Okay, so when we are generating the sequence number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like how many values that we will have to generate? Like 1, like if we generate increment by is 1, then it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we put increment by 2, 1, 3, 5, 6, 1, 3, 5, 7, like it will increment to 2 values. If we put increment by 5, so then it will come 5, 10, 15, 20 like that, or 1, 6, 11, 16 like that it will come. That is depends upon the initial value. What is the initial value that we are setting? Initial value is 1, so then it is going to start from 1. If you are going to set initial value as 100, it is going to start from 101, 102, 103 like that. And the end value. So the maximum sequence number that sequence transformation is going to be get generated. This is the maximum sequence number that can be generated. And the cycle option, if at all it reaches the end value, if at all the sequence transformation reaches the end value, so then again it has to start from 1 or it has to fail. If you enable the cycle option, so then again it will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again it's going to start from first value. If you don't enable the cycle option, so the job is going to fail by stating that it reaches the end value. Okay, now when we enable the cycle option, like the cycle from which value again it has to start. Like has it to start from 0 or has it to start from 100 or from which value again it has to start. Okay, now number of cached values. So these cached values, like whenever we execute every run, so the last value which is going to be stored in the repository. So this sequence transformation is having, so this previously this was the generated value that will be stored in the repository. If it is not going to be stored, then when we re-execute, when we are executing next time, so the sequence transformation should know what was the last end value, so that it is going to start incrementing from the immediate next value. So if at all we wanted to start from the first execution itself, we wanted to start from 1000 or 10,000 like that, then we should go for cached value, because sometimes if you see employee ID or any ID that we are generating, so they will be having certain limit that they should have minimum 3-digit number or 4-digit number. So the value should start from 3 or 4-digit number. So in that case, we can keep this number of cached values 1000 or 10,000 like that. So the minimum number of values, that how many that we wanted, so those many number of values that can be keep here. And the reset option. So this reset option, so for every execution, we wanted to start from first. So we don't want to store the previously previous end value. We want it to start from first. For every execution, it has to start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we can enable this reset option. This reset option is going to be end of the execution. It is going to reset to the initial value. Again, it will come to first. So that for every execution, it will be starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and we do have a shared sequence option. So if at all we create any shared sequence, when we create a mapping here, new, we can create a shared sequence. Somewhere we'll be having this option to create a saved query shared sequence. Okay, the components we have shared sequence. If at all we wanted to reuse the sequence generator, if at all we wanted to reuse the same sequence generator multiple times, let's say one table is being loaded with two, three mappings. When the same table is being loaded with 2, 3 mappings, and if we are going to use multiple sequence generators, then it will be then the values will be get duplicated, because each sequence transformation is going to generate the same number. In order to avoid that, we have an option. We have an option of shared sequence. Okay, so this shared sequence can be selected for every mapping. Okay, so we can enable this option, the shared sequence, so that it will be asking for what is the sequence name. So once we create the shared sequence, we can select here if at all we create any shared sequences. If not, we can use the individual sequence generator. Now let me change the source here. Employees table. So now the sequencer is connected to the target. Employee underscore will change the target. Employees underscore target, I'm just connecting it. And I just enabled truncated table option. So in the field mapping, what I'm going to do, so in the output of sequence, where we'll be having two fields, next val and current val. So next val, so whenever we connect sequence to the next transformation, so these are the two fields that we can see, next val and current val. So next val will be always the sequence number which is being generated. Okay, and the current val, it will be having what is the current value. That means always it will be sent with the initial value, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 like that, or 2, 2, 2, 2 like that. It is going to send. So we don't need to worry about this current val. All we just need to do is we just need to use only the next val. And I just connected with the next fields. Just saving it. Currently, I did not change any value, so I just kept as is. See, this sequence number started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 107 it came. Okay, now since I enable truncated table option, if I re-execute, if I restart again, it will start from 108. since I have enabled truncate table option, the sequence number will be starting with the previous end value plus 1, because in the sequence we have mentioned the increment by as 1. Increment by as 1. Since we have enabled increment, since we have mentioned increment by as 1, so then it is there is something wrong here. Ideally, it should come from 108 actually, because the previous execution is 107. It should come from 108 because I did not even enable the reset option, not enabled any other option. Still, it is for every execution, it is generating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only. So this I need to check once. Okay, but in the real time transformation, this won't happen. Okay, why it is happening, that I wanted to check once. Okay, but in the real time system, it won't happen like this. It will generate the sequence numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The reason, there is one possibility that the repository storage. Okay, so when we are working with the local system, so the repository values might not be stored, but in real time systems, the values will be stored in the repositories. Okay, so that is one possibility, but I'm not 100% clear about it or guarantee about it. Okay, but usually this is going to happen. Okay, the sequence values will be stored in the repository, so that when we are executing next time, it will start from the immediate next number. It's not going to start with the same number as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will happen only when we enabled the reset option. The values will be populated now, however it is populating now. So the same thing is going to happen only if we are going to enable this reset option. If we don't enable reset option, values will not be get started from the same number again and again. Till it is loading with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only. Okay, but you don't need to worry about it. But this is how it is going to work. So you just understand the same thing and follow the same thing.
Bhaskar, here you have mentioned as truncate and load, right? And how come it will load upon the data?
See, it doesn't matter if it is a truncate load or full load. It doesn't matter actually. Okay, so for this, the sequence values will be stored in the repository in IICS. So it will not be having any direct relation to the table, because we are not selecting any table. So when the record has to go to target, it has to cross some sequence. when it has to cross some sequence, how will it is going to understand the target table data? Right? Because when we are using certain transformations in our practice missions, okay, so it will be having some kind of a limitations. Okay, but I'm not sure. So there will be limitations that I know. So this is also one of the kind of a limitation which I feel. You can try from your system, and if it's still happening, so I'll then just understand that. So Divi, I think you have your office system, right? You can try in that.
Sure, Bhaskar, I'll try.
So when I enabled increment by 2, so 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. So like that it is generated if you see here. The increment by. So why it is started with 1? Why it is started with 1? Because
Initial value gave us 2, so
no, increment by is 2, but initial
increment.
value I gave as 1. Okay, let's see initial value if I give us 0.
0 to 4.
Okay, so then it will come 0 to 4. Okay, so there is one more important interview question in the concept of sequence. Okay, so I have 100 records in my source table. Okay, I have 100 records in my source table. So now I wanted to load even records into one table, odd records into one table, meaning 1357 odd number of records. So odd number of rows should go to one table, even number of rows should go to another table. So like that. So how will we populate that? So what we should tell is say 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. What we should tell is so to populate odd number of rows into one table or even number of rows into one table. So what we should tell? So after the sequence, we have to use a router transformation. We have to create two groups. In one group, we have to set the sequence value. The next value divided by 2 is equal to 0. Next value divided by 2 is not equal to 0. Okay, for the even numbers, when we divide, that means we have to use mod function. So mod of the sequence value comma 2 is equal to 0. Means mod function is going to give us the reminder. For every even number, when we are going to divide it with 2, the sequence number, the remainder will be 0. Okay, so like that we have to tell. So we have to use sequence transformation, so which is going to be generated the sequence numbers, and then we have to use a router. We have to create two groups. In one group, mod of the next value comma 2 is equal to 0. Mod of next value comma 2 is not equal to 0. Like that we have to write a condition so that all the odd number of records will go to one table, all the even number of records will go to another table. So this is one of the interview question people are going to ask. And let's say if I'm going to enable I'm giving n value as 0. Okay, and I don't enable cycle option. Then what is going to happen? Stuff. I'll just keep it. Failed because the sequence generated transformation reached the end of the configured end value. sequence generator transformation has reached the end of with this error, job got failed. But if enable cycle option, if enable cycle option, so then it will continue to execute. See, now it is executed. 107 records loaded. Now when I execute this employees underscore target table, 0 2 4 8 10, again 0 2 4 8 10, 0 2 4 8 10. Okay, so in this regard, like we'll be having one more interview question that first record should go to first target, second record should go to second target, the third record should go to third target, fourth record should come to first target, fifth record should go to second target, sixth record should go to third target. Again, the seventh record should come to first target. So like that. So we have three records. Sorry, we have three targets. Now I wanted to split up the data accordingly. So then how are we going to do that? So this is also one of the interview question. So for that, what we should tell is, so we have to enable cycle option with end value as 3. End value as 3. So that, and initial value as 1, increment by 1. So that what is going to happen? So it is going to start from 1. Cycle start value, if we keep 1. Okay, so it is going to start with 1. So 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 it is going to generate. So then we have to use a router. So in the router, next value equal to 3 groups we have to create. In one group, next value equal to 1. In the other group, next value equal to 2. In the other group, next value equal to 3. So since we have enabled cycle option with cycle start value as 1 and increment by 1, it is going to generate 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 because the end value we have mentioned as 3 only. Okay, so this is also one of the important interview question people are going to ask. So this is disabled here. Let's say put the start value, number of cast value is 100. Now let me execute. So this property also is not working here. Okay, the number of cached values also it's not working here, but you don't need to worry about it. So the number of cached values is basically how many number of values it has to store in the cache and from which number it is going to start. So for the first execution itself, we are telling this is the value which is stored in the cache file. Okay, so in the repository, so integration service will understand to generate the sequence number starting immediate next number of this one. Okay, so this cached values also is not working because it might not be having repository storage since we are working on a local machine, but in real time we'll be having it and I have used in many mappings. Okay, So almost in past 10 years, I'm using these transformations and they are working perfectly. There is no issues. Okay. So the number of cached values is the number that is going to be stored in the repository. So when we are executing, so it is not going to start with 1, it's going to start with the number of cached values. Okay. Any questions? Anyone having any questions?